through briefly some pictures of the Descendants, the Goodson family. Joel's wife, our great-great-grandmother, lived to be 86. And again, there's no pictures of her, but I'll show you one here in just a minute from a newspaper clip. But here is our great-great-grandfather, James Josiah Goodson, with his wife, Miriam, who used to be Trotter, married him. And that is their granddaughter, Inez. And I don't know how she's connected. But this was taken, he died in 1919, so it was taken before that time. And that's a little bit closer picture of that. Here's another picture before his death. And we see family members behind them. And here's another picture. I don't know how that turned out. But they are buried in the Olive Cemetery, which is up in Webster County, Missouri, which is right by Springfield, Missouri, in Webster County, right there. So here's another picture of Miriam and her family. And when you look closely, you'll see right over her right shoulder a young man named James Roy Goodson. And that's our great-grandfather. Now, some of us is great-great-grandfather, but most of us is our great-grandfather. And here is Miriam with some of her grandchildren. And here are her three oldest children. There's Sarah, there's John, and there's Miriam right there. This is a picture of Miriam later in life right here. And then here is James Josiah, not James Josiah, James Roy Goodson. And I kind of brought this up a little bit. What is he holding there? Can anyone figure that out? Huh?
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And James Roy, here's another picture of him. And I want you to take a look at it. What would you say about him? Right there. James Roy, right there. And then that is, right next to him is Bertha Goodson to the right at the top. Bertha Cantrell Goodson was married to Roy's brother, Isaac Newton, who died in 1900. So what does that tell you about the date of this picture? Before 1900, obviously. Now, shifting gears just a little bit, we're looking at Grandma's mother, Lillian Henry. And this is when she was 14 years old. And this is when she was 18 years old. A little bit closer picture. Here she is amongst a big bunch of turkeys. Are those turkeys or? Yeah, those turkeys. Yeah. And here is our grandma's grandparents on her mother's side, right here. And Lily Goodson is buried in Neosho, Missouri. And you can see that she lived from 1884 to 1971. So how old did that make her? 1687, something like that. Here is Roy in 1927, James Roy, with a Model T pickup right there, 1927. And here he is again with a Model A, that is. Now, he had a cousin, James Roy had a cousin named Jesse Anderson Goodson. No, it was his brother, his older brother to James Roy Goodson. And you can see that he lived to be 89. And he lived in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And James Roy and his family, which included our grandma and her older sister, they were all there. And they came. And the girls, they went to church that day to Broken Arrow. It would have been a Church of Christ right there. And they went there. And then on their way back home, somehow the horses got away. And so the oldest sister that was among them, her name was Marion also, so let's just sit here. Let's just sit here and wait and see what happens. Because I think Daddy's going to come and Uncle James Roy's going to come. and help us. And so sure enough, those horses went right back to the farm, and they followed the hoof tracks, and they came right up and they rescued the girls, and they were all safe and sound, and everything turned out okay. And by the way, that is not, I couldn't find a picture. This is just an old archive picture that I picked up for that time period. And because I don't think there were several girls on the buggy. I don't think you get several girls on that buggy, could you? But anyway, one of the sisters was Emma, and here's a picture of Emma. And here's a picture of her two older sisters. And this is Miriam and Lillian Goodson. Here is a picture of Grandma, and she's right there. And that is Marie, and that's Emma, their cousin, their first cousin, right there. And here is Grandma, right here, and Marie, and a friend, right there. A little bit closer view of them. And we find that the whole family was kind of together in the 1930s, or about 1937. And looking at this picture, can you see Grandma in this picture, anyone? Huh? I'm thinking that's who it is. Is that who you were thinking, Mark? All right, Mark got it right. We'll give him credit for that. And Grandma's in this picture. Can anyone pick out who she is? That's right. And that is supposed to be her older brother, Carl, with the hat on there.
He's always skinny and tall.
Yeah. You saw him a lot more than I did. But here's a picture of her whole family. Of course, her dad died in 1941. And I've discussed this many times with Jimmy, talking about both of our interest in the family history now. And we both wished we had had this same interest way back when Grandma was living, so she could tell us all kinds of stories, but we didn't. Huh?
That's Carl.
That's, there's Grandma, there's Carl, there's Marie, there's Alvin, there is Lois, and Eunice, I think, and that's her mother, Lillian, or Lily, and Evelyn. Is that her name, Evelyn? Does anyone remember? Okay. But I thought his name was Carl, didn't you? But look how they spelled it. With an O there. Yeah.
He always said Carl.
Did he say Carl? Yeah. Well, we've got the pronunciation down correctly. And here he is right here with a 1937 Chevy. Here's Evelyn with, I guess, her favorite dog. I don't know. In 1930. Here's that picture again of Grandma with her mother and her older sister, Marie. And here's a picture of Lois and Grandma and Eunice. And I remember when we were living in Colorado, we'd come down to visit Grandma. We would always go over to Eunice's house, Eunice Kidwell, and we would visit with them. Does anyone remember doing that? That's here? Yeah. We did it. We would always go over there, and she came down with breast cancer and died at a young age. But here's a picture of Grandma with her sisters and her mother. All of them right there. And for some reason, she always gets in the center of the picture, isn't she? There. Here's a newer picture of her and three other sisters. Here is Alvin. And one of the things that Alvin did, I remember us visiting in Neosho, Missouri, and then we went north to Joplin, Missouri. Well, Alvin had a record shop there. And I was about 10 years old, and we went into that record shop, and Alvin told my dad, he said, well, let Kenny pick out a couple of albums. And so I picked out a couple. You know what I got? The Tijuana Brass. Oh, yeah. Herb Alpert. That's right. That was neat.
Good choice.
Yeah, it was a good choice. Sure. Here's a picture of our grandparents. And of course, we see that. Yeah. Yeah. early childhood days, and you've seen this picture before.
Did he have bad teeth? No, I don't know. He just, yeah, he was never small. I don't know, but he's never small.
Now there's Uncle Kent. No, that's Uncle Sidney. But there's Shirley and Joyce right there. Here's a picture of all the family right here. He always liked to wear hats, didn't he? Yeah. Here's a newer picture. And your older sister's pictured there, Jamie Lou.
Yeah.
You can see her in 1958.
Ron with no shirt on.
Yeah.
I did. Mom didn't impress me.
All the boys were the same hairdo.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's Dwayne.
Dwayne. That's Jimmy, I think. That's me. Is that Donnie?
Who's it?
I don't know.
I'm not here.
Who's the baby? Did anyone figure that out?
Ron?
Oh, is that Ron?
Yeah.
Ron, at least I got you in the picture, didn't I? Here's a picture of all the brothers and sisters right there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was kind of,
It was blowing in the wind.
yeah, at least he had some hair to blow. Here's another picture when you used to live outside of town here. Here's some good looking cousins right here.
Hey, look at mustache. That's a good picture.
Yeah.
Look at Jimmy's hair.
Jamie was really good with them all.
And here we go. This is the last picture of this section. And this is from last year. And before we get through tonight, I would like for everyone to come up here and we'll take another little video. You'll get in the end of this video, okay? That's from last year. And I thought that was going to be a video, but it's not turning out that way. But that's some of us that were here last year. Here's Grandma with two of her sisters. And now I want to give you just one more little section here.